Remember Kelly McGillis, the actress who captured everyone's attention in the 1980s? She became a star playing the confident flight instructor opposite Tom Cruise in Top Gun. She also shone alongside Harrison Ford in Witness, showing her talent and charm. Back then, it seemed like she was everywhere, lighting up the big screen with her performances. But as time went on, she stepped away from the spotlight, and her life took some unexpected turns. Now at 67, her story is both inspiring and, in some ways, a bit sad. Join us as we take a look at her journey, what happened to Kelly McGillis, and where she is today. Early life and journey into acting. Kelly McGillis was born on July 9, 1957, in Newport Beach, California, the oldest of three girls. Her mother, Virginia, was a homemaker, while her father, Donald, was a doctor. Growing up in Southern California, she attended Newport Harbor High School, a typical path for many teenagers. But things took a different turn for Kelly. She decided to drop out of high school in 1975, a big decision for any young person. Instead of following the traditional route, Kelly opted for a new beginning. She obtained her GED, then took a leap of faith and joined the Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts in Santa Maria, California. This choice was a game changer, and her love for acting grew stronger. However, it was her move to New York City that really set her on the path to stardom. In the competitive atmosphere of New York, Kelly joined the prestigious Juilliard School. It was no easy feat. Juilliard is known for being tough, but Kelly graduated in 1983 as part of Group 12, a memorable milestone. With her Juilliard training and newfound confidence, she was ready to take on the acting world. Rising to fame in Hollywood. Kelly's big screen journey began with her film debut in Reuben in 1983, but it was her role in Witness that really put her on the map. In this film, she portrayed an Amish mother, a performance that earned her both Golden Globe and BAFTA nominations. Critics loved her, and Hollywood took notice. Soon after, she starred as the unforgettable flight instructor Charlie in Top Gun, 1986, alongside Tom Cruise. Playing Charlie, a character who was both intelligent and confident, Kelly captivated audiences. She had become a star, and Top Gun cemented her place in Hollywood history. It's a role that people still remember her for to this day. Even after that, Kelly's career continued with more films. But now, for fans who haven't seen Kelly McGillis in recent big-screen blockbusters, it might seem like she's vanished from Hollywood. But McGillis hasn't given up acting. She's just chosen a different path. In the past decade, she's focused on low-key TV roles and independent films, with appearances that might have slipped under the radar. In 2011, she ventured into horror with the vampire movie Stakeland, where she played a nun trying to survive in a dangerous apocalyptic world. She revealed in an interview with Entertainment Weekly that it was the dark end of the world theme that intrigued her, saying, "I liked the apocalyptic part." This was followed by another horror flick, The Innkeepers, where McGillis joined the cast in a haunted hotel thriller, bringing her unique energy to an eerie storyline. Even though McGillis is famous for movies like Top Gun and Witness, the stage has always been her true passion. Theater was where her journey began, and she's built an impressive career on stages far from Hollywood. Although she doesn't perform on Broadway often, she's made her mark in Washington, D.C., Southern California, and on national tours. In 1994, McGillis stepped onto Broadway for a production of Hedda Gabler, taking on the lead role in this intense Henrik Ibsen classic. But Broadway was only a brief stop for her. She preferred theaters in quieter, yet highly respected venues. While McGillis's film career took her to Hollywood stardom, theater gave her something she truly loved, a chance to dive deep into characters and connect with live audiences. Her stage work may not make headlines like her movies, but to her, it's home. But beyond her Hollywood spotlight, McGillis has endured countless personal hardships along the way. The night that changed everything. In 1982, Kelly McGillis was living in New York City, fully focused on her studies at the prestigious Juilliard School. She had moved to the city to chase her dream of becoming an actress, immersing herself in her craft. But one night, a horrific incident would forever change her life. She was alone in her apartment when two men forced their way inside and physically assaulted her. McGillis later recalled the terrible details to People magazine. They smelled of alcohol and old sweat, an odor that she would never forget. When she tried to grab the phone to call for help, one of the men pulled the line out of the wall. She was left defenseless and terrified, praying someone would hear her screams. Unfortunately, her nightmare only got worse. At knife point, the men beat, spit on, and brutally hurt her. The attack left her deeply scarred, both physically and mentally. Police managed to capture the assailants. One of them pleaded guilty and served 3 years in prison, but the other walked free due to lack of evidence. This traumatic experience left McGillis with severe emotional scars, making her feel fearful and vulnerable. She fell into a battle with alcoholism, which was a way to cope with the lingering pain. She also experienced weight gain, a reflection of the toll the incident had taken on her. By 1984, she sought therapy, realizing that her self-blame was only making things worse. "I was tired of beating myself up for something I didn't do," she shared. This step marked the beginning of her long journey toward healing. Though the pain would continue to linger, the experience even affected her career. Years later, when she was offered a role in The Accused, a film about a woman assaulted in a bar, she initially turned it down, saying she didn't want to relive her own trauma on screen. However, she did agree to play the assistant district attorney, the one who prosecutes the case, bringing a personal understanding to her performance. It was her way of acknowledging her experience without being forced to relive it. But this wasn't the end to her. Silent struggles behind the fame. McGillis was quickly rising to fame in Hollywood, taking on roles that showcased her strength and talent. After her breakout performance in Witness in 1985 alongside Harrison Ford, she became even more famous in 1986 as Charlie Blackwood in Top Gun. She was now a household name, admired for her beauty and acting skill. But beneath the surface, she was struggling. Despite her success, she found herself battling dark thoughts and intense fear. Simple things like riding the subway in New York would trigger memories of the assault, making her feel physically ill. It took her years to overcome the terror that filled her life after the attack. She also confided that without the support of her Juilliard friends and teachers, she might not have made it through. This support system became her anchor, helping her stay grounded as she navigated her healing. McGillis later revealed the depth of her pain. She shared that at the time of the assault, she was actually living with a woman and believed the attack was a punishment for sexuality. The guilt and self-hatred haunted her, leading her into destructive relationships and heavy drinking. "I would put myself in demeaning relationships with men," she admitted. "It made me feel horrible, but it seemed to be what I deserved." Her path to self-acceptance was a long and painful one. Even though she seemed to have everything, fame, beauty, talent, she carried the weight of trauma, guilt, and shame behind the scenes. Hollywood saw her as a rising star, but few knew the silent struggles she endured. Despite these battles, McGillis's performances never faltered. In the years that followed, she continued to captivate audiences with her roles. Her part as the prosecutor in The Accused was a subtle nod to her own past, and it allowed her to play a powerful role in a story that was deeply personal. But even as she found success on the screen, her personal struggles continued, shaping her journey in ways most of her fans could never imagine. Love, marriage, and heartache. Kelly McGillis has had a journey filled with relationships, from marriages to partnerships, each marked by both love and challenges. Early in her career, she married fellow Juilliard student Boyd Black in 1979, but the marriage was short-lived, ending in 1981. In the mid-1980s, McGillis also dated actors like Warren Beatty and Jodie Foster, but these relationships didn't last long. It was with her second husband, yacht salesman Fred Tillman, that McGillis thought she'd found lasting happiness. They married in 1989 and had 2 daughters together, building what seemed like a loving family. But even as she embraced her role as a mother, McGillis felt a conflict inside. She knew, deep down, that she was a lesbian, even though she tried to deny it. "I was madly in love with him," she admitted to the New York Times, "but deep inside, I always knew it wasn't the truth." The strain eventually took its toll, especially after a difficult moment in their marriage: Tillman's arrest for soliciting a prostitute right after the birth of their second child. Around this time, the couple moved to Key West, Florida, where they opened a bar called Kelly's. It was here that McGillis met Melanie Lace, a bartender who would later become her partner. But as McGillis and Lace connected, they also spiraled into a self-destructive phase, struggling with alcohol and substance abuse. McGillis eventually divorced Tillman in 2002, and she moved on to raise her daughters as a single mother. This chapter in her life wasn't easy, but it was also one of growth and self-discovery, as she finally began to accept her true identity, living authentically and facing new challenges. As McGillis grew older, she began confronting her true self, realizing she no longer wanted to hide her identity. For years, she had felt ashamed of her sexuality, convinced by society's judgment that she needed to hide this part of herself. In interviews, she shared how deeply the pressure weighed on her. She recalled telling her then-partner, "You can't possibly touch me in public." The fear of being exposed as a gay woman haunted her, especially in an industry that wasn't kind to open LGBTQ+ actors. She lived in fear, hiding a major part of who she was. But in her 40s, McGillis found the courage to live her truth. By 2009, she was ready to come out publicly. When a reporter asked her if she was interested in dating men or women, she responded simply, "Definitely a woman." She later explained that hiding was no longer an option. It had become a burden she was tired of carrying. In an interview with Access, via Today, she admitted that the pressure to stay in the closet was intense, with many advising her to keep quiet to protect her career. But McGillis knew it was time to live for herself. After coming out, McGillis went on to build a relationship with Melanie Lace, a woman she had met years earlier at her restaurant in Florida. Though both women struggled with substance abuse, they were deeply connected. Over time, their relationship faced many ups and downs. McGillis was open about the challenges they faced, explaining that they parted ways for a time to work on themselves individually. Still, their bond remained, and in 2010, they decided to marry in a small, private ceremony. While it wasn't a political move, as McGillis put it, the marriage was a meaningful gesture of love and commitment. Sadly, by 2013, the couple had separated, but they remained private about the reasons behind their breakup. McGillis's life has been a journey filled with highs and lows, fame and struggle. Her ability to overcome unimaginable trauma, find the courage to embrace her identity, and continue her acting career speaks to her resilience. Through it all, she has remained true to herself, facing each chapter with honesty. In one interview, she reflected with humor on being seen as a role model, saying she wanted to be known simply as a human being doing the best I can with what I've been given. This simple statement captures the heart of McGillis's story. A woman who, despite hardship, lived life on her terms. But did you know that? McGillis became a drug counselor. Through her journey with Melanie Lace, McGillis also found ways to help others. After her move to New Jersey with Lace, she took a job as a counselor, working with people struggling with alcohol and drug addiction. For McGillis, this role is more than just a job. It's deeply fulfilling work. "I work a 5-day, 40-hour week," she told the Oklahoman, explaining how rewarding it is to see people who come in feeling hopeless find a spark of hope. In helping them recover, she's not only improving the lives of the patients, but also giving their loved ones a renewed sense of peace. McGillis's journey with addiction has given her a personal understanding of the battles her patients face. Reflecting on her past, she told Smashing Interviews that her own struggles with alcohol and drugs allow her to connect with and guide others in a meaningful way. She knows how it feels to feel lost, which is why she's passionate about lifting up those who may be feeling dejected. In an interview with Philadelphia Gay News, McGillis opened up about her own recovery, explaining how she had to rely on herself when she left rehab with no one to turn to. She recounted staying at a halfway house in Pennsylvania, determined to learn how to not drink and not do drugs. McGillis uses her experience to help others find a new path, sharing her hard-earned wisdom with those who need it most. But like many women in Hollywood, Kelly McGillis has faced harsh criticism for her appearance as she's gotten older. She faced body shaming with strength and self-acceptance. In a stark contrast to her glamorous Top Gun days, paparazzi photos of her looking natural and makeup-free have stirred the tabloids, with some claiming she looked unrecognizable. The criticism only highlights society's double standards for women in the spotlight. Body-positive influencer Alex Light took to Instagram to defend McGillis, pointing out the sexism involved. She noted how women, unlike men, are often scrutinized simply for showing signs of aging. Would this story have been as interesting if it was a man? I suspect not, Light wrote, adding that it's deeply tied to sexism. McGillis has never hesitated to address this issue herself, making it clear she's not interested in meeting anyone else's expectations. As she told The Guardian back in 2001, "At 43, I don't give a what people's expectations of me are." She believes it's a stupid way to live if you're constantly worrying about how others think you should look or act. McGillis is focused on being authentic, not trying to cling to a version of herself that was popular decades ago. Speaking with Yahoo, she shared her goal to age with grace and confidence, just like the legendary Jessica Tandy. "I don't want to have to try to be 30 for the rest of my life," she said, embracing the wisdom and strength that come with age. Another home invasion and a fight for safety. Kelly McGillis's life took yet another shocking turn in 2016. By this time, she was living a quieter life in Hendersonville, North Carolina, far from the Hollywood spotlight. One evening, after attending a theological lecture, she returned home to find something disturbing. A light was on, and the front door was unlocked, clear signs that someone had been inside. As she cautiously entered, a woman suddenly came charging down the hallway, shouting accusations at her. According to McGillis, the stranger claimed McGillis had been stalking her on Twitter, which wasn't true. Fearing the situation could turn violent, McGillis recalled that she kept quite a few guns and lots of ammo in the house, which could be used against her. She quickly ran outside and tried to call 911, but the intruder chased her, hitting and scratching her while trying to grab the phone. Thinking fast, McGillis pressed the car alarm on her key fob, which managed to distract the woman just long enough. McGillis was able to break free, get into her truck, and drive off to find help. The intruder was eventually arrested by the police, and McGillis later reflected on the incident with a remarkable lack of bitterness. She posted on Facebook saying, "Mental illness takes many hostages, yet this event was a wake-up call." Soon after, she applied for and received a concealed carry gun permit, wanting to be ready if something like this ever happened again. Even the National Rifle Association praised her decision, posting on its social media to applaud a star who decided to exercise her Second Amendment rights. Despite leaving Hollywood, McGillis was still facing challenges, but this time she was determined to stay prepared, stepping away from Hollywood and choosing a different path. After the success of The Accused, where she played a driven district attorney, McGillis's career took a quieter turn. Instead of focusing on blockbuster movies, she gravitated toward smaller independent projects. In 2000, she starred in The Monkey's Mask, a low-budget Australian film where she played a woman's love interest. Although McGillis hadn't publicly come out yet, she later admitted that she didn't mind if people speculated about her sexuality after the movie's steamy scenes. It was a bold choice, and one that showed her willingness to take risks and explore complex roles. Then, in 2008, McGillis appeared on The L Word, a popular show about LGBTQ+ women, playing a closeted Army colonel. It was a significant role since the U.S. military's "don't ask, don't tell" policy was still in effect, making it timely and powerful. This role put McGillis back in the public eye, showing her fans that she was still active and unafraid to take on characters with depth. She had left the world of Hollywood blockbusters behind, but she hadn't left acting entirely. McGillis also returned to theater, the art form that she had always loved. In 2010, she went on a UK tour for Frankie and Johnny in the Clair de Lune, a play by Terrence McNally. She explained to the Oklahoman that the challenges of theater were what she found most rewarding. "That's my background," she said. To her, performing in plays like Shakespeare and O'Neill required a level of discipline and skill that was different from acting in movies. Theater allowed her to stay close to her roots, away from the demands of Hollywood fame. In interviews, McGillis was open about her decision to distance herself from Hollywood. She told Philadelphia Gay News that she had left because she was no longer willing to meet the industry's tough beauty standards. "I had a boob job because I thought that's what I should do," she shared, looking back with regret. She felt that she had sacrificed who I am for what I do for too long, and she wasn't willing to keep changing herself just to stay in the industry. By then, her Hollywood ties had faded, and although she was saddened by the death of Top Gun director Tony Scott, she didn't keep in touch with her co-stars like Tom Cruise or Val Kilmer. McGillis had chosen a different path, one where she could be herself without the constant demands of fame. But as McGillis grew older, she found herself drawn to teaching, a new calling in teaching. She knew that her years of experience in theater and film could help others, so she set out to pass on what she had learned. "I feel it is my time to give back, and that's something that I know how to do," she told Yahoo. In North Carolina, she began teaching at the Asheville School of Film, where she focused on helping aspiring actors develop skills they could use in many areas of life, not just acting. McGillis took an approach that was different from most acting instructors. Instead of preparing her students for Hollywood, she aimed to improve their general acting abilities, teaching them valuable techniques. She wasn't interested in grooming them for fame. Her goal was to share the craft itself. As a Juilliard alum who once aspired to be a New York theater actress, McGillis emphasized the importance of voice, speech, and scene study. She worked with students on their range, whether they were preparing for Shakespearean roles or just looking to understand how to communicate effectively on stage. In 2013, McGillis took her teaching to a higher level when she joined the Meisner Acting Conservatory, a respected school known for training actors in the Meisner technique, which focuses on emotional honesty and reacting naturally. Her classes included one on Shakespeare, where she taught students how to handle the difficult language and rhythm of his plays. Another class, called Mask, helped actors use body language and expressions to convey emotion without words. She even taught at a community school in Reading, Pennsylvania, showing her commitment to sharing her knowledge in many different places. For McGillis, teaching was about more than preparing students for acting careers. She saw it as a way to help them understand themselves and the world better. She had left the Hollywood spotlight behind, but in teaching, she had found a new purpose that felt fulfilling and meaningful. Now, did you know that when a Top Gun sequel was officially announced in 2017, many fans expected to see Kelly McGillis back alongside Tom Cruise? After all, her role as Charlie Blackwood, the confident flight instructor and love interest of Cruise's Maverick, was unforgettable in the original. However, as McGillis revealed to Entertainment Tonight in 2019, she was never asked to return. Why Kelly McGillis wasn't invited back for Top Gun: Maverick. Surprisingly, Kelly wasn't bothered by this at all. McGillis made it clear that she wasn't hurt or disappointed. She admitted, "I'm old, I'm fat, and I look age-appropriate for what my age is. And that is not what that whole scene is about." Instead of focusing on missing out, McGillis seems to be at peace with her appearance and her age. "I'd much rather feel absolutely secure in my skin and who and what I am at my age," she said. expressing a level of confidence and self-acceptance that's rare in Hollywood. When asked if she would watch the sequel, she didn't have strong feelings either way. "I'm not racing to the theater, and I'm not racing away from the theater to see it," she added. For McGillis, being left out of Top Gun, Maverick wasn't a big deal. She's happy living her life away from the Hollywood spotlight. In McGillis's eyes, her absence from the Top Gun sequel was no surprise. Hollywood often favors youth and beauty, and McGillis, who is now in her 60s, has chosen to embrace aging naturally. Director Joseph Kosinski also shared that McGillis's character was never part of the sequel's storyline. He felt it was important to bring in new characters and look forward, rather than focus too much on the past. This meant that Jennifer Connelly, who starred as Cruise's love interest, was a fresh addition to the film. But McGillis suspected long before the movie's release that she wouldn't be invited back. Back in 2013, she explained that Hollywood doesn't exactly welcome women over 50 with open arms. She expressed that she had no interest in cosmetic procedures like Botox or facelifts. "I am not into the coloring of my hair, doing the Botox and getting a facelift. I want to grow up to be a character actress," she said. McGillis was clear that her goal wasn't to chase the spotlight, but to be true to herself. She's proud of her age, and for her, there's no desire to change her look to fit in. She's content with roles that come naturally, and if that means stepping away from blockbuster movies, she's at peace with that. After Top Gun made her a star, McGillis realized that the fame and attention were overwhelming. She once shared that the popularity of the movie startled my reality in a big way. Fame wasn't something she craved. In fact, it made her uncomfortable. Shortly after the movie's release, she moved to Florida with her then-husband Fred Tillman and their 2 daughters, hoping for a quieter life away from Hollywood's spotlight. As her career progressed, McGillis chose to focus on projects that truly appealed to her, rather than aiming for box office hits. When she made her return to acting, it wasn't about reclaiming fame, it was about doing work that was meaningful to her. She told HuffPost that her decision to step away from big movies was also influenced by her desire to be a more present mom and focus on sobriety. "I wanted to be a single full-time parent to my kids," she said. "A simpler, quieter life." These days, Kelly McGillis has found peace in a quiet life away from Hollywood. Now living in Hendersonville, North Carolina, she prefers the slow pace of a small town. Her life is much simpler, focused on gardening, hiking with her 3 dogs, and enjoying hobbies like knitting. In an interview, she shared her love for her home life, saying, "I am a home person. I'm really rooted in my home life." While her quiet routine might surprise fans who remember her Top Gun days, McGillis is content with where she is. Even though she no longer pursues Hollywood fame, McGillis remains grateful for the success she once had. According to The Guardian, she understands how her fame from the 1980s has given her the ability to live comfortably now. Her net worth of around $4 million is modest by Hollywood standards, but it allows her the freedom to live life on her own terms. "I feel really blessed that I don't have to work," she told Entertainment Tonight, recognizing that her circumstances give her a luxury that many others don't have. Reflecting on her choice to leave Hollywood, McGillis spoke about how she had changed her appearance to meet the industry's standards in the past, even getting a breast augmentation. "I had a boob job because I thought that's what I should do," she recalled. But eventually, she realized that Hollywood's expectations didn't align with who she truly was. Now, she's no longer willing to sacrifice who I am for what I do. McGillis may not be in the spotlight, but she's found fulfillment in living authentically, something she never felt in the glitz of Hollywood. Today, Kelly McGillis lives her best life in quiet contentment, far from the cameras and crowds, but closer to who she's always wanted to be. What do you think about her journey, which has been one of love, heartbreak, self-discovery, and courage? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating stories.